Welcome back, class, to the Intelligence Mod Pod, a podcast dedicated to the discussion of Dungeons and Dragons 5e rules. Now, this semester, we're going to be delving into the subclasses of every class in Dungeons and Dragons. Now, I know last time we went over both 2014 and 2024 rules, but the syllabus for this semester calls only for the 2024 rules. But do not fear, if you are still living in the Dark Ages with the 2014 rules, we will be helping you with those history checks at a later date to teach you all about those subclasses as well. In other news, we have a new addition permanently to the Int Mod Pod, and that is going to be Dane, who has graduated from part-time teaching assistant to full-time professor. So Dane, would you like to tell us what we are doing in class today?
Absolutely. So today we are going to be going over the 2024 Barbarian subclasses. So just as a little learning recap from last semester, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Barbarian's main feature, rage, because a lot of these subclasses have to do with the Barbarian's rage. So rage, of course, is the ability to imbue yourself with that primal power, a force that grants you extraordinary might and resilience, and you can enter your rage as a bonus action on your turn if you are not wearing heavy armor. You can enter your rage a number of times that is shown on the in the player's handbook on the Barbarian table. There's a rage column there. And you regain one expended use when you finish a short rest, and you regain all expended uses after a long rest. And while you are raging, you have the following rules active. One of the big ones is, of course, damage resistance. You have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. And resistance is, of course, halving any damage that you receive of those particular types. You get rage damage. So when you make an attack using strength with either a weapon or an unarmed strike and deal damage to the target, you gain a bonus to the damage that increases as you gain levels in Barbarian. Once again, that damage is shown in the Barbarian table in the player's handbook. And of
Yes, if you
course,
want reading material for this class, real quick, it is going to be on page 52 for you as a full table with everything that we're describing.
perfect. Page 52. And the final advantage of Rage is a strength advantage. And you have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws while you are raging. And of course, Rage lasts until the end of your next turn, but it does end early if you put on heavy armor for some reason, or you have the incapacitated condition. If your Rage is still active on your next turn, you can extend the Rage for another round by doing the following. You can make an attack roll against the enemy, so just try and swing, you don't have to hit. You can force the enemy to make a saving throw, so maybe like pushing or grappling in some regard there. Or you take a bonus action to extend the rage. So if you don't have anything to do with your bonus action, but you're still raging, you can just say, I'm going to use my bonus action to continue my rage. Each time the rage is extended, it lasts until the end of your next turn, and you can maintain a rage for up to 10 minutes. That's a long time to be angry.
I want to talk about something that I don't think we caught in our first video where we talked about rage. It just really grabbed me, is that it ends early if you don heavy armor, and it takes 10 minutes to don heavy armor.
You're just angry the whole time you're putting it on.
And as soon as you get done, your 10 minutes is up anyway, but sure, I guess if you get really angry at the clasps while trying to put it on, and you do it halfway through, I guess
Yeah.
that could be a reason for it to end it, but there's no reason that you would be raging and then spontaneously have heavy armor on.
Yeah.
That's a weird rule to me.
Yeah. And so with that little lesson recap, Bobby's going to tell us about the first subclass we'll be talking about today.
Absolutely. So the first one we're getting into is Berserker. Now, they channel rage into violent fury. These are barbarians who walk the path of the Berserker. They direct their rage primarily towards violence. Their path is one of untrampled fury and the chaos of battle. Now, I'm gonna be real. These guys are just angry all the time. And if that sounds like you, one, seek some therapy, but two, this is the subclass for you. Uh, Because these guys are just always so mad, and I kind of love that for them.
Yeah, they're just heading head first right into the front lines of battle and just swinging away. That's all they do.
Absolutely. Now, if you are following along with us in the books, this is going to be on page 54 for you, where at level 3, we're going to gain Frenzy. Now, if you recklessly attack while your rage is active, you deal extra damage to the first target you hit on your turn with your strength-based attack. Now, it is important to remember that this is for your first attack. This is not with every. Um, to determine the extra damage, we're going to roll an extra d6 equal to your rage damage bonus and add them together. The damage is the same type as the weapon or unarmed strike that you used. So from levels 1 to 8, it's going to be 2d6. From levels 9 to 15, we're going to have 3d6. And from levels 16 to 20, we are going to have 4d6. I think this is a pretty decent damage buff, but at the same time, 2d6 once a turn, it's okay. I don't think it's the best damage buff, but it's okay. It
Yeah.
works.
Well, this is on top of your extra little rage modifier damage, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah, so you're still getting the 2 bonus for sure.
yeah. So I mean, at level 3, you're probably going to be doing quite a bit of damage compared to a lot of your party members for sure.
Yeah.
If you have
I mean, that's
like a battle axe or a two-handed great axe or something like that, like you're going to do a lot of damage for that first initial
yeah,
hit.
with this feature alone, we're grabbing at least 6 damage. So for rage, or not at least, but like on average 6 damage with your +2, that takes it to 8. That's like a full hit from someone with a longsword.
Yeah. So definitely, they're doing what they're designed to do, which is go in and hit hard.
It is
And
important to remember, though, that to get this, you do have to recklessly attack, which does mean everything is going to have advantage against you.
mhm.
So you get a nice little trade-off.
Yeah. At level 6, we pick up Mindless Rage, which grants you the immunity to the charmed and frightened condition while your rage is active. If you're charmed or frightened when you enter a rage, the condition ends on you. So, a pretty handy way to kind of break those types of effects. You can think of like fear as a pretty big one where it forces you to basically run away, or charmed, which would prevent you from attacking a particular target. Basically, this berserker class is not allowing that to happen at level 6. It's like you're getting in there no matter what.
Yeah, I would like to say that this feature right here, in my mind, if I'm doing a Feywild adventure, this is not what I want to see my players bringing to the table, because the Fey use a lot of charmed and frightened conditions. Those are their bread and butter. And you're just gonna really body anything that your DM is throwing at you that is Fey or of the Fey community. So if your DM's planning like a homebrew Feywild adventure, this might be a great pick for you, because you're gonna be able to dodge and weave through all of their conditions with relative ease. Moving forward to level 10, Retaliation. When you take damage from a creature that is within 5 feet of you, you can take a reaction to make one melee attack against the creature using a weapon or unarmed strike. Important to remember that this is not an attack action. So once you get multi-attack, you do not get to attack twice. This is only one attack. But it's still good.
Yeah,
Free attack,
I do kind of feel like it is rather late in the game and at level 10. And correct me if I'm wrong, Bobby, but I believe with a reaction, you can recklessly attack, like with this reaction attack.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. So would that also add on your frenzy attack? Now that's the question.
Oh, no, you cannot recklessly attack. Reckless attack when you make your first attack on your turn.
Okay, so there you go. So it's just
you don't even get to use your level 3 feature.
yeah. So it's literally just you know what this is kind of like? This is like the fighter battle master like riposte ability. We'll talk about battle masters eventually. But this is essentially like what that is. They attack you and you get to hit them back. So it's an okay feature for sure, and more damage if you hit them, I guess, but not like the greatest thing at level 10. I'll put it
Mm.
that way. But at level 14, we pick up Intimidating Presence. This is the final subclass feature for the Berserker Barbarian. As a bonus action, you can strike terror into others with your menacing presence and primal power. When you do so, each creature of your choice in a 30-foot emanation originating from you must make a wisdom saving throw. So for barbarians, your DC for this ability is 8 plus your strength modifier and proficiency bonus. And at level 14, it's probably like a 16, 17 probably at this point at the very least. And on a failed save, a creature has the frightened condition for 1 minute. At the end of each of the frightened creature's turns, they can repeat the save, ending on a success. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until a long rest, unless you expend the use of a rage to restore the use of it. So, it's nice that it's in a 30-foot emanation, I'd say, because, like, for example, like the fear spell is a cone. So this is more just like anything around you. The DC probably fairly high at this point, but it is a wisdom saving throw. And the frightened condition is good, but oddly enough, like, you want to be going at the targets, right? Like, you want to be closing the gap with this. Frighten basically makes them like not approach you. Like the target can't willingly approach you
Yeah,
when they're frightened. So I know the barbarian gets a
I
lot
want
of
them
movement. Yeah, the barbarian gets a lot of like movement speed to close the gap. But it's just kind of a interesting like way to put this. I feel like it's almost more of a, like, I would probably use this more in like a role play kind of method as opposed to like strictly battle, but that's just kind of me. That's my thoughts on
Okay,
it.
so I have a different thought on this because I think your thought process is coming from a damage standpoint, and my thought process always comes from like a support standpoint. And that's that if your squishies are directly behind your barbarian, people aren't going to be able to get to your squishies now. So you are also creating almost a wall if you're positioned correctly that they can't get to. And even if they are, already engaged, they're going to have disadvantage on attack rolls while the source of fear is within their line of sight. So as long as your DPS is positioning themselves to where the enemies are having to look towards the barbarian, they gain a good amount of defense just by them doing this. Now, I want to make it clear that I am not saying that this is a great feature, because if I'm being honest, I think this is a really weak feature, and I don't think. I feel like the Berserker brings about the always mocking barbarians for like being a level 6 and then dip,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like it kind of it. Yes, I agree. I feel like level 6 is where this is its strongest in terms of like gaining. It's not bad, but it's there.
Yeah, yeah. It's not the best feature, I think, for this particular type of character, especially that late in the game. Like level 14, you'll be very hard pressed to find a campaign that you are actively in that's going to get to level 14, unless you're
And
playing
even when
like
you
that.
do, I feel like a DC 16 wisdom saving throw is not difficult for most enemies to pass.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wisdom is one of the easiest things for enemies to pass, wisdom and dex. So I just think it's okay.
Yeah.
Um, so when it comes to flavor, is there any way that you as a player would flavor a berserker that isn't quite in line with how they're kind of telling us to flavor it?
Yeah.
Because
I suppose like the really the only ones that come to mind for me is either like the really like reserved person until they go into like a rage and then they just like lose it. Or they're just like angry all the time. Or, once again, you just kind of your friends get injured and you go into like a mindless kind of,
Mhm.
fury and just go crazy. Like those are what come to mind off the top. I don't know. What do you think?
So hear me out. This is a stretch, okay? Because this was one of the harder ones for me to think of fun flavoring for. Okay, so I'm kind of playing off of the immunity to Charmed and Frightened, right? So I am picturing if I'm going to have to play one, I am going to play like a deep descendant of some kind of archfey. All right? I'm not going to play an elf or an actual fey creature because they already have resistances to all of this. Um, so I'm probably going to play a human who has some kind of deep-seated archfey lineage. And I'm going to play it probably just as a very, very like aggressive warrior whom attacks a lot, because if I'm going to have to use retaliation, I'm going to flavor this almost more, like a battle master who is used to, attacking when attacked. Um, and I think that's how I would flavor it, is more of like a descendant of Fae.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that is a stretch.
Yeah, that's
Because this one is, I feel like this one's very straightforward.
yeah, it's your pure damage barbarian. You don't have to think about anything else. Just just go.
Yeah, so something new we're also going to be doing as we go through these subclasses is we're going to be ranking them. Now, I know a lot of places do like the S to D or F tier. We thought about doing that. We thought about giving them like a class rank, like A through F. But I thought it would be fun if we just ranked them out of 20. So one being like this is literally a detriment and hurts everything you want to do. I will be honest, I don't think we're ever going to see a one.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't think they can make a subclass that bad. And a 20 being there is literally no mistakes and there are no weaknesses. Um, Off the top of my head, I can only think of one subclass that I think I could give a 22, and I don't even think they've made it into a 2024 subclass yet. Shout out to Eloquence Bard. But so that's kind of how we're going to rank it. A 10 being very middle of the ground. There's nothing exceptional about it, but there's no real drawbacks. 11 through 15, it'll get the job done. 16 through 17 is pretty dang good. And then 19s and 18s are like excellent. They are almost never going to do you wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so fourth Berserker, I gave it an 11 because I think it's very middle of the road, but I think it does add a little bit. I don't think it's fair to say it doesn't add anything, but as a utility player, I don't feel like it really gives me anything.
Yeah, and I would say probably like if I was only playing this to level 6 and I just wanted to do damage, I think it would be a pretty good subclass. It would do a good amount of damage, but that's all you're really getting with this subclass. You don't get any kind of cool like magical flavoring or anything like that. You just go in and you hit stuff real hard. Um so like earlier in the game, I would probably give it more like a maybe like a 13, 14, possibly. Like still good. You're doing what you need to do. But overall, if I was playing this character down to like level 14, like when I get that final subclass feature, I would probably rank this like around a 12. So pretty close to where you were. That was kind of like my first gut feeling once I read through everything. The I was reading more the retaliation, and the retaliation is only when you get hit, right? So it's not like the character or the enemy can miss and you can take this opportunity attack. But, with this character, you are going to be recklessly attacking all the time. So you're very likely to be hit quite a little bit. The retaliation feature is nice for that. You take damage, you give it right back.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would say a 12 for me would be my score.
All right, next up, we have kind of a reskin of a 2014 subclass, and that's the Path of the Wild Heart, previously known as the Path of the Totem. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So the path of the wild heart, walk in community and the animal world. Barbarians who follow Path of the Wild Heart view themselves as kin to animals. These barbarians learn magical means to communicate with animals, and their rage heightens their connection to the animals as it fills them with supernatural might. So, kind of right off the top, you can think of, like the rugged, like forest dwelling, hermit that just surrounds themselves with different types of animal companions and creatures. And like, it's like, oh, I picked up the martial arts style from watching a monkey climb through the climb through
Yeah.
the woods, or the strength of the bear and all that kind of stuff.
So when I see this like up front, I'm thinking this is a member of a druid circle who was not really the most like didn't enjoy studying, didn't enjoy, actually doing a lot of the druidic circle stuff, and kind of had a bit more aggressive approach to protecting nature. Um, it's kind of what I see. I mean, I think this is a great subclass in that it's very open to interpretation, and I think there's a lot of different ways you can see it.
Yeah.
Um, at
And
level 3, though, we are getting Animal Speaker. You can cast Beast Sense and Speak with Animal spells, but only as rituals, and Wisdom is your spellcasting ability for them. Um, why not?
yeah, hey, free spells, once again, just something that the Berserker
Very
class lacked, right? Speak with animals can definitely come in handy quite a bit, Um, and, does one of these have a wisdom save? Like a
So
spell
the only
casting?
thing I found is that with Speak with Animals, when you like try to convince them you can use your
Oh,
spell casting, when you, I guess I don't know. Sure, I actually looked that up. I was like, I don't know why we would need a spellcasting modifier for these, but we have one.
okay.
And while this doesn't seem like that great of a feature for a level 3 feature, I do want to point out that unlike Berserker, Wildheart's getting 2 level 3 features.
Yeah. So at level 3, in addition to Animal Speaker, you get Rage of the Wilds. Your rage taps into the primal power of animals, and whenever you activate your rage, you gain one of the following options of your choice. So you can choose the bear. And while your rage is active, you have resistance to every type of damage except for force, necrotic, psychic, and radiant damage. Now, Bobby's going to talk about why this is different than the
This is such a
2014
nerd.
rules.
In 2014, back when we were a totem, totem barbarians would have never taken this kind of crap from force necrotic or radiant damage. They would have accepted it from psychic, but we are losing quite a bit of resistances. I think the radiant and the force, it's not that big of a deal if I'm being completely honest, but the necrotic, I find if you're playing as the good guys, you're probably going to fight some undead at some point who are doing some necrotic damage. So I think that's the biggest nerf is with that necrotic.
Mm-hmm. And
But I mean,
psychic's not super like common as well. Like it's not a very common damage type to see.
yeah, it's
So
not. But we were gonna get hit with that back in 2014 anyway.
yeah.
We didn't have resistance to it, but it feels like it hurts a little bit. But I guess we can talk to animals now.
But it's still gonna do quite a lot for you in terms of
Yeah.
just kind of general like resistances to like basically everything else. So still really good, still really good. Um, but your other options, you can also choose the eagle. When you activate your rage, you can take the disengage and dash actions as part of that bonus action. So like when you enter your rage, you can take the dash action right away, which is
And
quite nice.
disengage
Yeah. Oh, it's both. Yeah.
at
So
the
you
same time.
can beautiful. So you can kind of like run past various enemies to get to whatever target you want and not take any attacks of opportunity. Um, yeah. So that's kind of the benefit of the eagle. Just kind of gets you to where you want to be. I
And while you're raging, you can also do a bonus action to do both of those things
yeah. So
the
you
whole
can
time
just
raging.
yeah. So you can just be flying around the field just like an eagle would.
I really like this one. I don't think it's as strong as the bear, but I think situationally it's still very, 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 very good.
Yeah, if you need to get somewhere to protect somebody, like this is the perfect thing to get you across the field because, I think your movement speed increases at certain points for the barbarian. So like you could be having like 60 feet of movement basically every single turn with a disengage action. So you're just flying around the field.
They can't stop you
Yeah, and they can't stop you.
unless they have Sentinel, I think.
Well, they can't. They can't take attack of opportunity against you with a disengage. And then the last animal that you can choose is the wolf. While your rage is active, your allies have advantage on attack rolls against any enemies of yours within 5 feet. So it's essentially pack tactics that you have. So if you are with some other melee characters, this is a great way to give advantage to basically everybody that's within 5 feet of you.
I would like to point out that it does not state the ally has to be within 5 feet, only the enemy.
Yeah, so like you can be flanking on the other side, or
so well, no, I'm saying even archers and your spellcasters will get advantage on this. In my opinion, this might be a controversial take, but I actually think the wolf is stronger than the bear.
Well, in terms of in terms of Dungeons and Dragons, the best defense is a good offense. If you can kill the thing fast enough, it can't damage you. So you won't even need to take damage.
Healers, I am a healer, but you will never out heal the damage that people are doing. It's just not feasible, and it's not practical. And at the end of the day, death is the best form of CC in Dungeons and Dragons. And if your whole team has the advantage while the Barbarian is just locking someone down, you're golden. You're gonna have a great time. Everyone is, doing great damage because hopefully with advantage everyone's hitting. I know we've had a couple times on stream where advantage meant nothing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think this is great. This is like 10 minutes of if everyone is focusing on one enemy, which you should be doing anyway, you're going to just be taking numbers down so quickly. BT is a numbers game.
Yeah.
And personally, I think the wolf is just really, really strong.
Yeah. So just to summarize, at level 3, you get access to those 3 specific animal traits: the bear, eagle, and the wolf. So all 3 really great options.
They're all really good. Like, if you're fighting casters, bear. If you're not fighting casters, go with wolf. And you get to pick a different one each time you rage. This isn't like at level 3 you pick one and you're stuck with it. Like it was, because that was back in Totem. You did, like, you would pick one and that's what you had.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good compromise. We'll take the Force, Necrotic, and Radiant for flexibility. Level 6, though, we're getting Aspect of the Wild. You gain one of the following options of your choice. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can change your choice. So this one is a bit more narrow, and you do have to pick. But you can either pick the Owl, where you get Dark Vision with a range of 60 feet. If you already have Dark Vision, its range is increased by 60 feet. Humans, take notes. This is for you specifically, I feel.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think this is a fun one if you're playing like a drow who already has like the 120. Why not, really just
see everything.
Really just make that even bigger. I love this. You could also pick Panther to give yourself a climbing speed equal to your speed, or the Salmon to give yourself a swimming speed equal to your speed. I mean, if you already have, I'm gonna be honest with you, I feel like no matter what, I'm picking Owl. Unless I know we're gonna be climbing or swimming.
Yeah, that's would have been my point. Like, it does give you the option to prepare. Like, if you know tomorrow you're going up a mountain, well, then I'm going to switch over to the Panther. If I'm going to be swimming in some kind of capacity, I'm going to go with the Salmon. So it's nice that it doesn't permanently lock you into a decision. You can just change it every long rest. But probably for the most part, Owl's more than likely the choice to go with. At level 10, we get Nature Speaker. You can cast the Commune with Nature spell, but only as a ritual, and Wisdom is the spellcasting ability for it. Now, what does Commune with Nature do?
Let me tell you. Essentially you do a ritual and you choose three facts that you want, that you learn, and that's the location of settlements nearby, a location of portals to other planes, location to one challenge rating 10 plus creature that is celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead, the most prevalent kind of plant, mineral, or beast you choose which to learn, or locations of bodies of water. So you get three of those. I think this is a fantastic feature, personally. I think a lot of Barbarian players might see it as weaker, but this is some hefty utility.
Yeah. And I just think like with the Barbarian subclass, or the Barbarian class in general, a lot of people immediately think of it as just damage dealing. But definitely with this Wild Heart Barbarian subclass, you get a lot more utility out of it, which is, a lot more you can say than the Berserker subclass.
Absolutely. So I don't sleep on this one, people. Everyone craps on utility. I mean, if you have like a newer DM who's not fleshing their worlds out super, aggressively, this might be a bit weaker. I think this is going to be a feature that's dependent on your DM to how strong it is. But also, with that respect, if you have a newer DM, don't be afraid to use this because that will help them learn how to flesh worlds out better. And I think that's just anytime that the players and the DM can work together, it's always a great thing. Um, but then moving to level 14, the Power of the Wilds. Whenever you activate a rage, you gain one of the following options of your choice. You can pick between the Falcon. When your rage is active, you have a fly speed equal to if you aren't wearing armor. That's crazy to me. Can you imagine a barbarian flying at you um, with the dodge action as a bonus action? Um, I think that's the most terrifying thing I could see flying at me is a barbarian with double speed that's flying.
Yeah. So with this, just before you read the rest of it, I'm assuming that you get the level 3 Bear Eagle Wolf and
Mhm.
and you get this other option, or is it out of these
You
6?
get both. You get
Okay.
both. You get
Oh,
one from the three and one from this.
okay, perfect.
I lost my place because I'm over here scrolling through everything because I was
Yeah.
like looking at that one.
Yes. So we're talking
After
about
that,
the
we also have the lion.
yeah.
While your rage is active, any of your enemies within 5 feet of you have disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you or another barbarian who has this option active. I adore that they put this on there so you don't have two Oonga Boonga barbarians both lioning, giving everyone disadvantage. Huge fan. I love that. And I think it's strong. I like it. And finally, Ram. When your rage is active, you can cause a large or smaller creature to have the prone condition when you hit with a melee attack. I want to point out this does not have a saving throw. This is just when you hit, they fall. Which of these is your favorite?
Um, being able to fly is always cool, but if you got some cool spellcasters, like at level 14, what do you like? You're at like 6th, 7th level spellcasting, I think. But like fly is level 3, a third level spell. So someone could cast fly on you. That's all I'm trying to say. Somebody could cast fly on you. You could find some kind of magical item that could probably do that as well. Um, Lion's a great one. Like just putting disadvantage on pretty much any enemy that's within melee against other targets. So it's like a taunt kind of ability. I mean, Ram's great, to be honest with you. Like Ram, like if you knock, like great for melee, maybe not so much for ranged characters, but being able to knock creatures prone, giving you advantage, giving your other melee combatants advantage on attacks is always great. And yeah, and a large creature as well. So it's not like you can't knock down a huge creature, but a large
So
creature can knock prone. Beautiful.
I also want to point out if you combo this with the advantage you're getting from Wolf, then all of your melee combatants are still getting the advantage, and your long range combatants are not getting disadvantage, but they're just rolling normal.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's pretty
I
great.
mean, it does cover its weakness.
Yeah. But like remember for Wolf, you do not get advantage like as
Yes.
yourself attacking.
Yeah, no, I'm just
So you would have to
covering
like
our rangers.
yeah, for sure. I feel like with this subclass, reckless attack isn't as necessary as it is with Berserker. So
Mhm.
like with just in general this one, like we'll kind of talk a little bit more about like how the like flavor, like you could really play this one. I feel like you just have a lot more options to it. Whether it's like you're a barbarian that is studied in like, animal behaviors or something like that. Like you're just, learn the ways of the wild, or, like you mentioned, a druid like that is not versed in like the magical aspect of things, but more the animal aspect of things. I just feel like you get a lot more versatility, a lot more utility out of this subclass, and really you can kind of play it however you so choose. But I feel like you got something brewing for how you would flavor this thing.
Yeah, and I love that it's very much every time you rage, you kind of get to build what you need in that situation. But see, like my flavoring for this, because I was like, what would I do? Picture with me, if you will. High elf, high magic, right? Kind of warrior. Great sword. We are ready to go in there and cleave some enemies. And I'm picturing these rages almost like how a mage would use like mage armor. And like with the magic being kind of more versatile in the way that we are getting all these different effects. So like, with the bear, we're gaining magic resistance. When we gain the wolf, we're gaining some kind of beacon that allows our allies to get easier attacks. Falcon, obviously we're just flying because we're magic. So I feel like there's a lot of I feel like this is such a flavor, like an easily flavored subclass. Unlike Berserker, I think this one you could do so many different things with the bones that they're giving us and just reflavor it into just about anything. And I highly respect that.
Yeah, so what would you give this on a D20 ranking?
I gave Wild Heart. I am wild for this ranking. I ranked these beforehand. Um, and I feel awful for what I gave it. I'm actually gonna give it a +1 from what I did, and I'm gonna give it a 15.
Okay. All right. 15.
Because I
That's
feel
a
like it's
solid.
really good, but I don't feel like it is just, unstoppable. I feel like it does have a couple flaws in that some of the features kind of overlap each other. Um, but I gave it a 15.
Okay. Um, I gave it a 17 for my
Oh.
arbitrary biased ranking. Um, because I have to remember that like a marshal's always going to be in a different world than a caster, right? Or even like a half caster. Like the ability for magic is limitless. Like you get so many more options when you have access to magic spells and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But for this subclass itself, you have a lot of utility for changing things. You can very rapidly go, well, maybe not super rapidly, but in and out of rage and like pick something else like on the fly in the same combat if you need to. Like you could
Mhm.
like end your rage and then next turn start raging again and completely switch what for whatever the situation calls for. The spells just offer a little bit extra utility there, in terms of dealing with nature and things like that, where you can really influence the battlefield for the benefit of your party members, with like the advantage on attacks, flying around to intercept or block people. Yeah, you're just kind of really able to navigate and manipulate the battlefield as you need to, which I find really helpful. And like I said, it's mostly combat oriented. That's kind of the only unfortunate thing with barbarians, but that's what their role is essentially in the party, is more of a battlefield type character. Not to say they can't have role play moments and stuff like that, but a lot of their core features are directed at combat and
You
exploration.
have convinced me, and you're gonna hate me in editing for this, but I want to change my ranking. I want to give it another +1 to a 16 because I had not thought about the fact that you can end a rage and start a new one,
Yeah.
like so quickly, and that's true, and that gives you a significant more versatility. So my final ranking will be a 16. Don't hate me.
moving it up. I like it. All right, so going over to our next one, Bobby, tell us what we are talking about next.
Yes, the Path of the World Tree. Trace the roots and branches of the multiverse. Now, if you're following along with us, this is going to be on page 56. With this, barbarians who follow the path of the world tree connect the cosmic tree Yggdrasil through their rage. The tree grows amongst the outer planes, connecting them to each other and the material plane. These barbarians draw on the tree's magic for vitality and means of dimensional travel. I just want to say, when I first read this, I thought this is the dumbest thing I've ever read in my life. When I read Path of the World Tree, I was like, I think this is so stupid. Because when I think barbarians, I think a little bit of magic, but not like, dimensional travel and whatnot. So I was really harsh on this one when I first was reading the flavor of it. I thought this is so stupid. But then I got into the features and it vastly changed my
Yeah.
mind. I was like, this is one of the coolest.
Well, like with even just like the mention of like Idrisil, like I don't know, Bobby, you could probably tell me, is there ever like mention of that like in any kind of like Forgotten Realms type
Yeah,
environments? Okay.
I believe there is. I feel like that is like a cultural, like in D&D, a cultural reference to
Yeah.
how the planes are connected versus like normally it's just kind of seen as this,
Because like I'll just say like
sphere. It's
straight
normally like a sphere.
when I think of like when I hear Idrisil, it brings me immediately to like Thor.
Yes.
Like all that kind of Marvel cinematic kind of stuff where the branches of Idrisil are like different dimensions, right? Like Midgard and the Frost Giant one and Asgard and the Niflheim and all those kinds of things. So it just kind of brings me to that. So I guess you're replacing those with like Outer Planes, Feywilds, things of that sort.
Yeah.
So while Bobby does some research there into Norse mythology, we'll talk a little bit about some of the features that you get. So at level 3, you get the vitality of the tree. Your rage taps into the life force of the world tree, and you gain the following benefits. Vitality Surge. When you activate your rage, you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your barbarian level. So you get a nice temporary hit points of 3 kind of right off the bat. Keep in mind, with your rage, you get the resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage. So that's just like extra cushion, which is quite nice every time you enter into a rage. And then you get the feature Life Giving Force. At the start of each of your turns while your rage is active, you can choose another creature within 10 feet of yourself to gain temporary hit points. To determine the number of temporary hit points, roll a number of d6 equal to your rage damage bonus and add them together. If any of these temporary hit points, when your rage ends, if they're still there, they vanish. So from levels 1 to 8, it is a 2d6 of extra hit points to give out. Levels 9 to 15, it's 3d6. And then 16 to 20, it is 4d6. So, Bobby, what do you think about this level 3 subclass feature?
I came in so harsh on this subclass. I was I was borderline rude when I first read this, and then I read the first feature, and I was like, "This might be my favorite barbarian subclass." Just immediately. As a support-oriented player, it's you're getting your own temporary hit points, which is making you a bit tankier, and you're helping someone else on your group. This to me is so great. I eat this up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is my favorite feature that 2024 has given barbarians so far, in terms of subclasses. To go back though, real quick, Yggdrasil is in Forgotten Realms.
Okay. All right.
That's crazy. I've played Dungeons and Dragons for so long. I've run so many games, and I've never actually seen it in source materials. But that's why the Int Mod Pod is here, to teach you things, because we are mortals and we do not know everything. But no, back to the feature. I love this. I would play this. I want to play this. After that, though, at level 6, we get branches of the tree. Whenever a creature you can see starts its turn within 30 feet of you, while your rage is active, you can take a reaction to summon spectral branches from the world tree around it. The target must succeed on a strength saving throw, DC 8 plus your strength modifier, and proficiency bonus, or be teleported to an unoccupied space you can see within 5 feet of yourself, or the nearest unoccupied space you can see. After the target teleports, you can reduce its speed to 0 until the end of its turn. This is so disrespectful.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. It's a great ability.
I can't think of a flaw with it. I mean, because not only is it not taking your turn to do it, you're also taking away all of their movement and just planting them right there in front of you.
Yeah. So it's, I kind of talked about barbarians like needing to close the gap on creatures, but this could just teleport them right in front of you if need be. So, you have a creature that is, I'm just going to shoot a number up, 70 feet away from you, with your barbarian speed, if it's at 40 or whatever it gets up to. And then you use this feature to teleport them closer. Now that creature that was out of range is now within range. Beautiful.
There's always going to be that one person, that one enemy that slips past the front line and is harassing your back line, doing massive damage. Not anymore. Boop, they are right here next to you and your fighter. You might have used your reaction, but your fighter still has theirs ready to go. Not that they need it, because their speed is 0, so they can't get away anyway.
Now, I also want to add into this that it does just say target. So
Yes.
it could be an ally that you use this on. And it's not saying that, and it says that their speed can be reduced to 0. So it doesn't have to be reduced to 0. And as we know with these new 2024 rules, you can choose to fail saving throws, if I'm not mistaken.
You can, yes.
This is why
Oh
I'm
my
a professor now.
Okay, this brings me back. Do you remember in 2014 the diabolical nature of the Peace Cleric out of combat?
Oh, no, I'm not too
Picture
familiar
with
with what
me.
they did.
Okay, so this is a little bit of a tangent. Sorry, people. We're going to talk about Peace Cleric for just a second. They had a feature where you could make a bond with people, right? A number of people equal to your proficiency modifier, I think.
Okay,
And
yep.
if they took damage, you could teleport them to you, right? So say that there was a spot that some people failed a saving throw or like a check to climb up, or if they're in prison but you're not in prison, you could get close to them and they could just do 1 point of damage to themselves and teleport. And this completely takes away the need to do 1 point of damage to each other. You just teleport. Say your barbarian can climb up that, building and your little cleric can't. Just have him rage and he can teleport the whole group periodically up onto that building that he had the athletics for.
As long as they're within 30 feet, then yeah, you can totally just teleport them right next to you.
This is great. This is so good. Yet again, I did not even think about the out of combat implications of this.
Yeah.
This is so juicy.
And going even more into the juiciness, we get level 10 Battering Roots. During your turn, your reach is 10 feet greater with NA melee weapon that has the heavy or versatile property as tendrils of the world tree extend from you. When you hit with such a weapon on your turn, you can activate the push or topple mastery property in addition to a different mastery property that you're using with that weapon. So as an example, if something has like the sap property, you can also add a push or topple on top of that. The 10 feet greater with like the heavy or versatile, I feel like heavy is only certain weapons, like very limited weapons, have the heavy property, but a lot do have the versatile property. So with versatile, you can either use your dex or your strength as your modifier. You're more than likely going to want to be using strength for those types of weapons, but adding an extra 10 feet is great. Not having to be right next to it is perfectly great. I love it. So just a great feature, and like the weapon masteries, I feel like don't get talked about enough because they are really good. For our martial characters, push or topple is great. Push them an extra however many feet. I'm not sure. Maybe it's like 10 feet, I think. But
It is
topple,
10 feet straight away.
yeah, but topple is a great one. Knock them prone and just wail on them.
This feature completed my image of what I want to play. So picture with me again. We're gonna do a lot of picturing in Int Mod Pod. All right. You're a World Tree Barbarian, right? You get to level 10, you have that extra 10 feet. You use glaives, so you already had an additional 5 foot, right? But you were also born as a bugbear who gets an additional 5 feet. That means your melee attacks are 20-foot range melee attacks. This is the juiciest. This brings me so much joy. I want to play this really bad. And that's a lot for me to want to play a barbarian.
Yeah, so just as some examples of heavy weapons. So that's your glaive, like you mentioned, that already has a little bit of reach to it. So you can add some additional reach. Great axe, great sword, halberd, which also has reach as well. Really, the glaive and halberd are pretty much like the exact same weapon.
Yeah, this is a fantastic feature. And I think, even at level 10, is it like a world-changing feature? No. But is there literally any negatives to it? No.
Mm-mm.
I can't find a flaw with it. It's so good. It's so great. But then we get to level 14 where we get travel along the tree. When you activate your rage, and as a bonus action while your rage is active, you can teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see. In addition, once per rage, you can increase the range of the teleport to 150 feet. When you do so, you can bring up to 6 willing creatures who are within 10 feet of you. Each creature teleports to the unoccupied space of your choice within 10 feet of your destination space. We don't even have to rely on the teleporting people up the rock or the building now. We can just teleport up to 10 or 6 people 150 feet.
Is that like the dimension door? Is that how far dimension door is? Dimension door is like 300 or something, or is it like 1,000? I forget.
Yeah, dimension door's like 300 or something.
Yeah.
It's a crazy amount. But I mean, teleporting 10 people 150 feet, Archfey Warlock wishes they could.
So what the only thing I'll say about this, because the management of rage is like a different mechanical system in a way, because to maintain your rage you have to swing at something or get hit before it's like the start of your next turn basically, or you use a bonus action to maintain your rage. So if with this specific feature, when you activate your rage, you can use this teleportability. So that's great. Easy peasy, no problem. But while you are currently raging, you have to use the bonus action to use this feature, which would, I imagine, then, if you don't hit anything, I would say, then that would technically like end your rage. Like when you are poofed to this other location, if you're not hitting anything, it would end your rage. That's kind of my interpretation of reading it. If you're not hitting anything, like your rage would end after that.
I will say, it no longer has the requirement of hitting. It is only attack roll made. So you can miss, or you could attack yourself.
Yeah, or just like unarmed strike. Punch yourself in the face, I guess.
Or force an enemy to make a saving throw. Which means that if you're teleporting and you are within 30 feet, you're gonna make someone make a strength saving throw. So it will rock that for you.
Yeah. And this one is only for willing creatures. This big teleport, but the vine that pulls people down does have the saving throw with it. So this one doesn't have any kind of saving throw. They must be willing. Bobby, what are you thinking now that you've kind of read this subclass?
Okay, so obviously I'm playing a bugbear, which means I'm a fae always. I mean, I feel like I'm always fae. I'm picturing a fae warrior, and instead of like trees coming up, they're like, the fae circle mushrooms. That's what I'm picturing popping up to teleport people.
Okay.
Essentially, I'm just flavoring this very similar to like an archfey warlock, I think, because we're getting a lot of the teleporting features. But I could also see this going in a much darker tone with like, the black tentacles or tendrils or whatnot. Like, you could really flavor this, I think, almost any way you want to.
Well,
That,
it almost kind
as
of
long as you remember these grasping vines.
it's almost kind of like the what's like the warlock one where they're like the great old one where they do a
Yeah.
lot of like tentacle base. Like you could flavor
Yeah.
it that way instead of it being like Idrisil. It is a warlock but barbarian flavored with all the like the barbarian features with it. So you could definitely do something like that. That's pretty cool.
The kind of vibe I would go with. How about you?
I kind of picture like playing a barbarian. I mean, at this point, like the race, I don't even think really matters to be honest. Like it could be anything, but I kind of picture it with like medium armor, but like the armor is like made of like wood, like it's wooden armor. So like when the features activate in whatever way, it's almost like the wood armor like comes to life in a way to like add on to the damage, or like when they're teleporting things or pulling people with the vines, it's like the armor like goes into the ground or something like that, and then it just pops up. So it's like a magical type of armor that maybe you got from the Idrisil tree or something like that. Like you got a tree of Idrisil like bark and you put it on yourself and it has some of the magical properties of the Idrisil tree, and then you can
Mhm.
utilize the features that way. So it could almost be like a druid type, right? Like we kind of talked about it for the wild heart where they're dealing with the animal side, but like this druid could deal with more like the nature side of things. With that in mind, what are you giving this on a D20?
I want to know your rank because I've gone first every time.
Fair enough. This one's probably out of the three so far, probably my highest one. I'm probably going to give this one like an 18. Just a really solid kit that you have with this. This one is definitely more a tankier type role in comparison to like the berserker or even like the wild heart, because of the manipulation that you can really do on the map, the utility that you get with like teleportations at the cost of a rage, so your spellcasters don't have to use spell slots to cast this. The extra healing, as and it goes up as you get stronger. The push, the topple, the extra range. I think it's a great subclass overall. You're going to survive quite a long time with this subclass, and you're going to help out your allies in the process. So I think it's a great overall subclass, and I do think you got a lot of potential for roleplay with it as well.
So I am struggling with the ranking. Mainly because don't see anything wrong with it. I don't see a single negative. I don't see anything that I think needs improvement. I don't see anything that I think is weak. I think every one of its features, I feel like, is an amazing feature. And it's like I really don't want to give a nat 20 on episode 1.
Listen, it doesn't have
But I'm really
magic spells. That's the knock it down to a 19 for no magic.
it has free Misty Step.
I guess so.
It has infinite Misty Step, and it's got infinite Dimension Door. I mean, slightly lesser, but like, you pull your allies to you. I mean, it has what made the Peace Cleric deemed unplayably broken. It has, it has what made, in my opinion, the Peace Cleric almost a bannable subclass at a lot of tables.
Yeah. Probably like the only thing for it is that it's not going to be doing like top damage. Like I think it gives up its damage potential for these features. Granted,
Survivability.
granted these features are fantastic, but I do think it just gives up a little bit of that extra power that the other barbarian subclasses have. Because there's
Okay, I've
no
made my decision.
yeah, like no extra damages really on anything. Like there's no additional damage outside of your damage bonus.
I've made my decision, and honestly, I'm gonna give it the nat 20. I
Ooh, okay.
For me, for me and my play style, there is nothing that I want more from it. Like when you bring up the damage, like yes, could it do more damage? Sure. But we're already doing barbarian level damage.
Yeah.
Already ridiculous.
Yeah.
I just when I look at this, we have support capability, we have extra tanking, we have crowd control, we have utility teleporting. Like, this does so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't see a situation where I can see another subclass beating this in anything that I want to do.
Okay.
You know,
Well,
I even look back at my previous favorite barbarian subclass. It was the Ancestral Guardian. But this does pretty much everything that the Ancestral Guardian does, but a bit better.
yeah. Well, let's see if the final subclass will change your mind. The Path of the Zealot. So, rage in ecstatic union with a god. Barbarians who walk the path of the Zealot receive boons from a god or pantheon. These barbarians experience their rage as an ecstatic episode of divine union that infuses them with power. They are often allies to the priests and other followers of their god or pantheon. So, just in terms of like a general flavor, just from reading that text, you would almost like put them similarly to like a paladin in some ways. They like when they say it partners with clerics and stuff like that, you can definitely frame it in that regard. But I almost picture this more like just a crazy nutbar cultist type of person where they're running around naked or with armor and they're just like, my god told me to do this, and I run and I go crazy. That would be the character I would play for this, just like a crazy nutbar of a character who's just all about his god.
Yeah, I think it could very easily, depending on how, like, talk to your DMs always whenever you're like reflavoring things. Because I know some DMs are really aggressive about like play it as it's written. Could one either yes, play it very, cleric or like paladin, like this is my god giving me the power, or insane rage of I don't know, fanatical fervor, I guess you would say. But I mean, you could I never really look at rages only as like angry. Could easily flavor this in a way that was more, like focused on the tenets of your god. Paladins don't even have to have a god, so I think with this, your ideal could also give you the power. I think this one flavor-wise is probably the most fun because
Yeah.
you can just be a crazy, crazy zealot.
Yeah.
It's literally in the name.
And at level 3, with this feature, you gain 2 different little bonuses for your subclass. So at level 3, you gain Divine Fury. You can channel your divine power into your strikes. On each of your turns, while your rage is active, the first creature you hit with a weapon or unarmed strike takes extra damage equal to 1d6 plus half of your barbarian level rounded down. The extra damage is necrotic or radiant, and you choose the type each time you deal damage. So that's a nice damage boon right there. So 1d6 plus your barbarian level. Yeah, so an extra d6 of damage on top of whatever you're using, plus your rage bonus, plus this extra little damage here. Like I said, nice chunk of extra damage, and radiant or necrotic, pick radiant, at least not going to be
You get to change it every time. So if you're like, yeah, if you're fighting like angels for whatever reason, maybe don't pick radiant. But you do get to change this, and that can be very flavorful for if you're like if you're doing like a villain campaign or you're just a darker character who does more necrotics. I do think it's important to point out that you only get this damage once per turn.
Yeah, on the first, like the first creature and the first hit, on each of your turns, though. So it's just that first initial hit, you gain a lot of extra damage. But the other feature that you get at level 3 is Warrior of the Gods. A divine entity helps ensure you can continue the fight. You have a pool of 4 d12s that you can spend to heal yourself. As a bonus action, you can expend dice from the pool roll them, and regain a number of hit points equal to the roll's total. Now, keep in mind, this does not say you have to be raging either. So kind of almost like a fighter's second wind in a way. You can use this to
This
kind
is
of heal
better.
yourself. Yeah, I would
This
argue it
is
is better.
better than fighter second wind because it's a bigger die and you get more of them.
Yeah, and you regain all of these expended die when you finish a long rest. The pool's maximum number of dice increases by 1 when you reach Barbarian level 6, which you can now get 5 dice. Level 12, you get 6 dice, and level 17, you get 7 dice. So it's like an additional pool of health that you can pull from to heal yourself. And this is even outside of your hit die. So this is like outside of short rest, you get these. It's like an additional pool of hit die almost. Short rest, you use your hit die, and they're all D12s. By the way, everything's a D12 for this healing. So, this is a class that is meant to almost get beat up and keep on coming back. The Captain America meme, I can do this all day. That's what this class is about.
Yeah, this is amazing feature. I think fighters, your spot is being taken as, best tank. So get it together because these guys are getting a better feature than your one of your big main features. But at level 6, we're moving on to Fanatical Focus. Once per active rage, you can if you fail a saving throw, you can re-roll it with a bonus equal to your rage damage bonus, and you must take the new one. I think this is the weakest of this subclass, but I mean, I guess sure.
Yeah,
Why not?
because it's only adding a 2 to it. Like your rage damage bonus is a 2 until you're at level 9. So then it becomes a 3. So it's an extra 2.
I wish Fanatical Focus had been once per active rage. If you fail a saving throw, you can make it again with advantage. Honestly, I'd be fine with 3 rolls. It's a level 6 feature. It's not that big a deal if the Barbarian saves 1 throw.
Yeah, and I would even probably even say it should be you don't even have to be in a rage, because if this is happening at the start of a combat, well, they get danger sense and stuff like that, which gives them that a advantage on a dexterity save already. But I would imagine this would be someone's casting a charm spell at you or something like that, and you're not raging, but you can, you're always focused or something like that, role play it that way. And then it's just a +2 at this point. It's not like a super high amount. So I would just say it'd be nice if it wasn't, the requirement of being in a rage was removed. I think this would be a little bit better. That's just kind of my thing about it.
Okay, another compromise. Give us once per round while raging. If you fail a saving throw, you can add your rage damage bonus just to that roll. I think even that would be fine, because then it's a redo it for saving throws. You get an extra +2. I think that's fine. But once per active rage.
So really, you're only gonna get that once per combat, maybe.
Maybe twice.
Well,
maybe twice.
That's if you leave your rage and then go back into it, then it refreshes.
I was gonna say, unlike Wild Heart, we don't really have a leaving and coming back for the versatility with this, because you don't get anything other than a +2 on one saving throw.
And level 6, you got to think your rages as your long rest spell casting slots. Basically, you get 4. You have a total of 4 rages that you can go in and out of. So you don't want to waste them if you don't have to, just for this +2 to a failed saving throw.
Level 10, we do get to see a bit of the light with Zealous Presence. As a bonus action, you unleash a battle cry infused with divine energy. Up to 10 other creatures of your choice within 60 feet of you gain advantage on attack rolls and saving throws until the start of your next turn. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend a use of your rage to restore the use of it. This, I think, if you were in a really big party, amazing. But only being able to use it once, yet again, I feel like the Zealot is kind of shortchanged.
Well, so it's only you only get one, or you expend the use of your rage. So at level 10, we have still just 4 rages. So, it's one to get into a rage, and you do gain a short rest, you gain 1 rage back. It is a resource that you can kind of play around with, but like I probably wouldn't use this ability unless like we're going after like a meaningful combat. Like I probably wouldn't just use this for the wolves that attack you at night. Like if I'm fighting a big bad enemy, I need everybody to hit. Like this is what I'm using, and I wouldn't be afraid to use a rage to give my people advantage again on everything. It's like that kobolds have something like this, like a rallying cry or something like that.
Yes, they do. They do.
Like
So
not as
if
strong,
this
but
had been if this had been like you can use this a number of times equal to your proficiency modifier, I would have loved it. I think this would have been great. But it's not, so it's just okay to me,
yeah.
personally.
And then the final subclass feature we get is Rage of the Gods. When you activate your Rage, you can assume the form of a Divine Warrior. This form lasts for 1 minute or until you drop to 0 hit points. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. While in this form, you gain the benefits below. Flight. You can fly. You have a fly speed equal to your speed and can hover. So that's cool. Resistance. So you have resistance to necrotic, psychic, and radiant damage. So once again, while you're raging, you do get the bludgeoning, piercing, slashing. So that's always present. But now you get necrotic, psychic, and radiant on top of that. And also revivification. When a creature within 30 feet of you would drop to 0 hit points, you can take a reaction to spend use of your rage to instead change the target's hit points equal to a number of your barbarian level. So you're 14. So this, instead of dropping to 0, brings them up to 14. So it's like a quick healing word, essentially, for the cost of a rage to keep your party member up. Just as an example, at this point, you have 5 rages to utilize here. So, rage management, I think with the Zealot class, subclass, is probably the most important thing to kind of be aware of, because there are a lot of things that you can utilize again at the cost of a rage. The battle cry, like we just talked about, this Rage of the Gods feature requires you to expend the use of a rage. So you don't really have a choice. You have to use a rage. And if you're out of rages, well, too bad, so sad. What are you thinking now, Bobby, for flavor of this class here?
Honestly, I think I would play this as a descendant of like a Divine Soul sorcerer lineage is probably the route I would go.
Okay. I'm thinking if I'm able to make a kobold, it would be like a zealot of like Tiamat, where like eventually his little kobold draconic cry evolves into this giant shout that inspires everybody. That would probably be how I would play it, but it would be like a little kobold barbarian just running around naked, just claiming to be a dragon. And eventually he ascends to dragonhood by can fly around and stuff like that.
I love that. So what are you gonna rank it at? What is the Zealot ranking on your D20?
This subclass, I feel, is really I want to put this as like it's like a selfish type of subclass until it hits the later levels, because really it's all about you and surviving. As I mentioned, this is the type of subclass that you run in and you get beat up and you don't care. You can do a little bit of extra damage. You can heal yourself throughout the combat without anyone's help. Only up until you get to like level 10 and level 14 is when you get a little bit more party utility, right? Giving advantage to everybody, all that kind of stuff. I'm probably going to give this one probably almost like the same as the Berserker. I want to give it like a 12, maybe a 13 potentially. Well, because like the Berserker Barbarian, you get like a immunity to charmed and stuff like that, right? Like that's a
Yeah.
feature like that is huge. Like being able to do that. Like the fanatical
But
focus.
we are getting resistances with this one.
Yeah, but that's still at level 14 though. Like that's still a ways away. Like the level 6 feature, I think just drags it down quite a bit for me.
Yes.
Like that's not the best. I think this subclass has a lot of roleplay potential compared to like the Berserker, obviously. In terms of like mechanics, what I'm reading here, I think it's a little bit below the Berserker. Once again, I'm gonna have to review what my what
No,
the
no, no.
10.
It's not about that. It's what this
Yeah,
is.
fair enough. Just like the rage management, I think the costs of the rages and stuff like that, I think kind of brings it down a little bit for me. So yeah, like I said, I give it like a 12 or 13.
13.
Yeah, I think I'll put a 13. A little bit higher than Berserker, but yeah, kind of in the same vein.
I gave this one a 12. Specifically, my reasonings are the rage management. It is very, very costly on its rage. It wants you to spend it on everything. But also because the 1d6 that you get for plus half your barbarian level, I don't feel like I feel like instead of half your barbarian level, it should have been like giving you extra d6s.
Or just a full barbarian level. Like,
Yeah, or a full barbarian level because it's rounded down. I don't like it. I feel like it doesn't scale very well. Level 20, you're doing a d6 plus 10. That's literal no damage
well,
at
yeah,
level 20.
yeah, and then plus, what's your rage damage? Plus 4. So you get that on
Literal
top.
nothing.
Yeah, and it's just on the first.
Like think about
the
where
first
we
hit.
are in Dion right now at level 9, right? Doing 1d6 plus 4.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't I don't feel that this scales well.
Yeah.
And
So a lot of these, like a lot of these features, because I'm like comparing it to my paladin, where I can't divine smite every time I hit somebody. So it's kind of the same thing with these subclasses. They kind of made it like the first time you hit, this effect happens. So
Mhm.
I think about my paladin, like I can use like a third or fourth level. I think it's only third level like divine smite. I get like 5d8s on top of my damage, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, it's not guaranteed to be, that flat damage, which is always nice to have that guaranteed damage. But I could roll all eights or something like that, and I get extra 40 damage on top of my attack. Like that
Yeah.
eclipses what the barbarian can do in that one-to-one kind of scenario. Like comparing, like I only get one attack. These are the bonuses that I get. So, to kind of summarize everything with our rankings here. So, Bobby, you got the World Tree. You rolled that nat 20 for the World Tree.
I did. I want to play it so bad. I
Yeah.
really do.
And you got Wild Heart at 16. So, that's a pretty high roll. And then Zealot and Berserker are pretty close together with a 12 and an 11. For Zealot got a 12, and your Berserker you gave an 11.
I did. Does it show my bias that like the more magically and utility based ones scored not just higher but so drastically higher?
I you know
Like
what?
I like
I think it comes from your experience with the game, because you're not just thinking in terms of like the combat mechanics of all this kind of stuff. You're thinking like, how can I utilize this character in the world, right? And barbarians kind of come with the caveat of like, you think of barbarian, you think, oh, they just fight and they're dumb and they just hit stuff. Whereas like with these, particularly these two subclasses, the World Tree and the Wild Heart, you have access to other tools.
purely on flavor, I think Zealot would probably be number 1.
Yeah. But in terms of mechanics wise, like you're kind of looking at the big picture with everything, like the core aspects of D&D: exploration, social encounters, combat. Like I think those two subclasses really can have a part in all of them. Like Berserker just kind of falls behind in some of those aspects. So I don't think it's a bias. I think it's just your experience with the game. See people play it, you run it yourself, you've played it yourself, you just have an idea of what's going to work and what doesn't. So I guess
Yeah.
that is
I mean, on
bias.
the similar, yeah, that's not biased. It's just insert the entire definition of bias. But I mean, I think it's interesting to notice that while our roles were different, our order is still the same. Because Dane, you ranked the World Tree with an 18, followed by Wild Heart with a 17. And then you also had a pretty drastic fall with Zealot at a 13 and then Barbarian at a 12. I think it's kind of fun that almost all of our numbers are about one away from each other, with the exception of World Tree.
Like I said, in terms of like the combat, I do think the World Tree just kind of falls ever so slightly in terms of the damage, but
Mhm.
everything else about it is fantastic.
That has been this class of Int Mod Pod. Next week, we will probably be talking about bards, so do make sure you come back and hang out with us for that. We're going to talk about all the subclasses of bards, and when it comes to subclasses, the bards get some zany ones, and I feel like they very much are one of the more flavorful classes with their subclasses. But until next time, in the comments below, please let us know what you ranked all of these, where on your D20 they would fall, and if you agree with any of our rankings and criticisms, or if you think that we need to go back to school. So until next time, may all of your intelligence checks be successful.